sun's shining, the dust is flying.
Hello and happy day. Welcome to New Age Custom Farming. If you're new here, we are a custom farming operation in Wisconsin. We're just getting ready for a busy day ahead. So the 10-day forecast that we have up from today on is all bright and sunny, 60s, 70s weather. So good weather to get going. But today we're just letting the fields dry out a little bit more, but that means prepping for what is to come in the next busy days ahead. Avery's trusting me to drive his sprayer enough around a farm driveway, so I got to drive it over to our fuel island and fill her up. We do have one piece of equipment that is out in the fields right now, and that is our airflow, and I do believe they're doing tillage somewhere too. So we've got some stuff working ahead of us, but you can see Mason's planter kind of back there. It's in a standstill right now, and then actually my drill has been rented out, so they rented out my drill for somebody to use for 60 acres today. So even if I was able, or even if the ground was fit, I wouldn't be able to go planting today anyway. I may be moving pretty slow, but I am moving. See, if I get good in the driveway, then I can go to alfalfa fields, and then from there, the world's my oyster. My favorite thing about our Wagyu calves, well, these ones aren't calves anymore. These ones are about ready to go get turned into some freezer meat, but my favorite thing about our Wagyu is how curious and friendly they are. You need to come belly up to the bar or what? Whoa. So our next steps with these guys, if you've been following along since we first started breeding them, is they are actually half Wagyu, half Holstein cross. So we do not calve any of our own cattle here. We work with a dairy farm actually to breed our calves. So all of the calves that you currently see us having right now are all Holstein bull calves. So they're boy calves that come from a dairy farm. That dairy farm doesn't have a use for them. Technically, I mean, the use for them is to be turned into meat, but they don't have the resources or the desire to raise them out themselves. So we buy them from them and then raise them as feeder calves, and we'll sell those calves around 400, 500 pounds to some other farmers who finish them out. And then we have these guys, which are Wagyu Holstein crosses that, like I said, we work with a dairy farm who breeds them. And so the semen that was used in them and the sire that was used for them, or bull, was a Wagyu bull. And then the dam, or the mom, the cow, was a Holstein. And so all of these cattle in theory should be 50% Holstein, 50% Wagyu. As we know, genetics doesn't totally work that way, and it might be 49, 51%, 48, 52%, and so on and so forth. And so what our next steps are for these guys is we will do a DNA test with them. So either take a hair sample or just like a little clip from their ear. And as you can see, they're all friendly enough. I could probably just take the sample right now from them. And then we'll send that in to figure out exactly what they are, because we technically can't label them as Wagyu unless they are 50% or more. And then we'll be selling their meat. You take good care of them their whole life, make sure they're all good and get all the food they need, all the nutrients they need. Are happy, healthy, and fat guys. I should also note too that we are working with farmer grade when these guys are all ready to be harvested and processed and then sold as meat. We're going to be working with farmer grade so that if you are anywhere in the 48, you will be able to then purchase our meat from us through farmer grade, and it'll ship anywhere if you guys are in the lower 48. So if you are a longtime follower of ours, I know we've always gotten questions if you can buy meat from us, and for the longest time we weren't able to sell our meat to you guys because we currently only sell to our local community, just because the processor that we use is only available, they're only state certified. So how it all works with processing, for those of you who may not know, is you have your processor or your butcher that you work with, and there are different grades or levels essentially that they are able to do. So there's, I'm not sure the actual term for it, but there's some processors that are only able to do beef shares. So technically you as a customer would purchase the animal from me, and then they would do the beef quarters, halves, wholes for you. That's one type of processor. And then there's a state inspected processor, and that means they're only inspected within the state that you live in. So for us, obviously that's Wisconsin, and that's who our inspector is, or who our processor is currently, is they are only state inspected. And so then we are only able to sell within the state of Wisconsin. And so because of that, we only currently sell our meat within our local community, and then also to a restaurant in town. And then by working with farmer grade, they work with processors that are USDA inspected, or inspected within, meaning that they're able to be sold throughout the entire US. And so then when we work with them and they process our cattle at a USDA inspected processing facility, then they can be sold to anyone, no matter where you live within the US, not Hawaii or Alaska. I believe they may have it figured out that they can do Hawaii or Alaska. I'll have to double check that. Little afternoon pick me up. Crispy. It's come to my attention that not everyone has heard of Sundrop or tasted Sundrop. It actually used to be bottled in our hometown and made here in Wisconsin. It's more of a Midwest drink. I know for sure we can't get it in Florida, but it's like grapefruity, citrusy. It's the only soda I drink. And I should say it's the official soda of Elsing Family Pulling Team and New Age Custom Forming. Well, we decided the fields are fit enough to go do some tillage, so Avery is about to go take actually a demo vehicle or demo implement, I should say, that got gifted to us for a little bit out to the field, and we'll go check it out with him. One thing we'll always say is that the start of a good crop year actually starts with having a good seed bed, and that is what we're doing right now. So if you've seen any of our videos, you know that we do different things depending on what is all going on. So for example, I no-till quite a few soybean acres for us. And then we also have an Insight that we use. We have a Dagelman Pro Till that we use, and some other pieces of tillage equipment that we all use to help prepare our seed bed, which is then what our seeds obviously go into. And then that's what they have to grow for the upcoming year. And so tillage practices can be slightly controversial because there's people that are hardcore no-till, hardcore cover crops, hardcore full-on tillage, and we do a variety of practices because for us it really depends on the field, the soil type, and what is going to go into it. That kind of is just like our philosophy when it comes to tillage. I don't think there's any solid answer, right or wrong. I think you have to do what's best for your farm, your fields, and also just what tools and resources you have available. So Avery just took this new Pottinger out for a spin. We'll hop in with him after he does one lap and see what it's all about. This was gifted to us to use from one of our friends, Bob Dorn, and then one of our local implement dealers.
Nice job. I'm just figuring out how to, there's a lot of settings on it to play with, so I'm trying to adjust it to make sure it's doing a good job, because I'm the guy that has to go over it a lot of times, so sometimes the tillage guys don't care. Have you noticed the fields can get a little rough in your bean grill?
Oh, I've noticed. I'm bouncing all over the dang place.
We've got a little bit of everything because our soil varies so much. So we got a quadra-till, which is a McFarland's implement, which is built in our hometown here, and that's a disc ripper, kind of like a case tiger till, kind of the same deal. 13 shank. That's actually what's in the field right now, doing some headland. Actually, they did this field because some manure got hauled on it, so that's kind of a deeper tillage. We have a McFarland's Insight, which is kind of like a high-speed disc. Got a 30-footer of those, and we used to have a 40-footer. We used to do a lot of stuff with just that. 30-footer runs every day, and then we've got a Dagelman Pro Till, which is a high-speed disc. That's a finishing tool, and we'll do some tillage in the fall with it. We run the disc ripper as much as we can, and then in the fall we run the disc ripper as much as we can, and then we'll finish up before it freezes with the Pro Till to make sure we get it all done. And then we obviously run the Daggleman in the spring for a finishing tool. We run the Insight in the spring for a finishing tool. We've got Case IH, a VT disc, vertical tillage disc. We run that kind of in the spring as a finishing tool also. That one's kind of a lighter disc. Does a pretty good job. Then we've got Landall VT Plus. I think it's a 35-foot disc. And we kind of just run that. We used to run it a little bit more, but they've all kind of, not a single one of them can do everything. So that's kind of why we got a little bit of everything. Depending on the moisture and soil condition and soil type, tractors around, we kind of send what we think is going to do the best job to everywhere. So if we had all the same soil type throughout our whole farm, it'd be pretty simple to buy the one or two things that you need to make it all work. But it just doesn't seem to work that way. So we got anywhere from peat marsh to blow sand and everything in between.
Looks like Mason did bring his planter out to play for a bit. Well, the dang cats were at the vet today because they have to lose their manlyhood, if you know what I mean. So I have to go pick them up. But Avery will take away the rest of this video.
Well, it took me a few acres to get this thing figured out. That's a pretty nice seed bed. So we're in a little sandier field now. Mason did part of it this morning. I'm just finishing it now. It's got a lot of options for settings. And I had absolutely zero crash course on it. So it took me a little longer to get it figured out, to do a nice job how I like. I'm pretty good now. I think it's doing a really nice job. Hopefully Mason's happy with it because it makes it plant a lot faster. He can speed up a little bit if the planter's not bouncing. Really helps the singulation, and good ride is one of the things on the precision monitor, and you can get that good ride up high. You can click up at least a mile an hour just because everything's just settled nice and smooth, and the seeds aren't bouncing off the seed plate, the disc in there. That the vacuum sucks the seed against a plate in all the little spots for seeds to sit. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but if that disc or that plate in there is bouncing around, the seeds will bounce off of it, and then you get terrible singulation. So having a good smooth field is very important for getting good seed placement. Rough, you can still do it, but you got to slow down so it doesn't bounce them off the discs. So spraying through the field is way nicer when it's smooth, a lot easier on equipment. You know, tillage seems simple, like you're just dragging something through a field. How hard could it be? Well, you can really screw it up. I mean, if you're bouncing in the tractor, you look back and the whole disc is bouncing up and down too, and then you get a washboard effect in the field, and we fight that sometimes. You can't just set the disc for one field or set the tillage equipment for one field in one situation, because like for instance, this field here was corn silage last year, so there's hardly any residue out here, and it wasn't worked up at all. So I mean, it works up pretty nice, pretty easily, but like in the last field, those are some of the hardest conditions because we quadratilled, we disc ripped it in the spring, so it gets real sugary and soft, and it's really hard to get that leveled out. And in that situation, I played with it a lot, trying to keep my speed up and get it smooth, but the tractor, when it starts pulling a little too hard, it just gets a little bit of a hop to it. And then you look back and the whole disc is hopping, and then that's how you put that washboard in the field. So it takes a lot of playing with something to get it right, and it's harder to do than you think it is, and it's very easy to screw it up. So, and then after you get that bounce in there in the field, it's really hard to get it out, because the next time you go across it with tillage, the tractor's already on that washboard bouncing. So it's hard to do, but we try our best to make them nice. So that's what we're doing now. I'm hoping this is nice. the true test will be when the planter goes across it and I go across it with the sprayer. I'll know if I did a good job if I drive across it with the sprayer. So we're gonna keep plugging away here. It seems to be doing a really nice job, and the sun's shining, the dust is flying, so we better get back in the cab. Well, a stick ended my night early. I was just about finishing up my next field and put a big stick through the tire, the brand new tire, I will add, on the tractor. So tire's flat. I'm calling her a night. It's 8 o'clock, just about dark anyway. I was just about done anyway, so that'll do it. I forgot to film it though. But that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching. We'll hit her hard again tomorrow, and we'll see you in the next one.